We are anticipating the release of Disney's live-action Snow White movie in March next year, and Rachel Zegler is starting to do some press for that and some other projects. She just did an interview with Variety where she revealed some new details that the public wasn't aware of, particularly about how Disney has completely rewritten the origin story of the classic Snow White to make sense of the fact that she is no longer Snow White. She is Snow Colombian. Just to match Rachel Zegler's ethnicity, right? So in this interview, Rachel Zegler reveals that instead of skin as white as snow, the live-action Snow White will feature a new origin story for the princess's name. As for that line, Zegler reveals that the new film has its own origin story. Quote, "It fell back to another version of Snow White that was told in history, where she survived."
Should have made her a cocaine deal. Like, she should have just been a coke importer from Colombia. That's what they should have done.
Oh, for Snow White. Okay,
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, why not? It's kid friendly.
Okay,
modern.
Okay, actually, I do have a question. What would they rather have done? Like, do this where they like change the origin, or just not address it at all?
I mean, of course, if you're going to race swap, which you never had to in the first place,
Yeah.
draw as little attention to the fact that you did so as possible, as to not drum up even more controversy,
Yeah.
and to show at least a feigned respect for the source material.
Make her a character that gets her own miniseries on Narcos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, maybe that will be the sequel.
Okay, so what are
That'll be the
the
sequel to this.
changes that they're making?
She said, quote, "It fell back to another version of Snow White that was told in history, where she survived a snowstorm that occurred when she was a baby. And so the king and queen decided to name her Snow White to remind her of her resilience. One of the core points in our film for any young woman or young person is remembering how strong you actually are. Most people aren't strong, physically or mentally.
That is
Most
true.
people are very weak-minded and weak-willed.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think that's something you should remind people of at all.
Well, they live off fakeness in their world.
But this is something that she was heavily emphasizing in every interview, especially at D23 a couple of years back, that this movie was going to, dispel any misogynist myths that were spread by the original animated movie. And it was instead going to focus on Snow White stepping into her confidence and being the leader that her father told her she should be, and
She's slaying queen.
slaying queen. Like, that's what this was supposed to be about, and they were going to dispel with all of this love story crap. No one likes that, especially not little girls, right? Little girls don't dream of having a fairy tale wedding or wearing dresses or falling in love. They hate that shit. So we're gonna give them what they really want,
Stepping
which
into
is
your
to step
confidence.
into their confidence and turn a bunch of dwarves into their house slaves. That's what they want.
Where she comes home and they clean.
Yeah.
Where they come home and they clean.
I wonder if she's going to be wearing a pantsuit during this movie.
That would be good.
That would
Well,
be
we didn't see that in the teaser, but there's still time.
there is.
So in the new one, she survives a snowstorm, and that's why they call
As
her
a
Snow White.
baby?
Yeah, so yeah.
Wait, I mean, I didn't look.
Yeah, well, how do you
So it says it
I
fell
don't know,
back to
man.
another version of Snow White that was told in history, where she survived a snowstorm that occurred when she was a baby, and so the king and queen decided to name her Snow White to remind her of her resilience
And her confidence.
and her confidence that she will then step into.
As she was like sitting inside of a little carriage, she's very resilient by just being a baby and sitting there.
I guess
makes
she
sense.
she was a baby and she crawled through
Yeah.
the snow in snowshoes.
That's kind of badass. Let's go.
She found her way to the king and queen's castle.
Hey, look, here's the thing.
I don't know.
At this
Yeah.
point, why not
Fishy.
just this is where you get into the whole discussion about we are now stuck in a world where everything has to be IP. If you want to tell a story about a strong, independent woman who survived a snowstorm as a baby and is she's a leader in her community and she tells the elves what to do, make that movie. Just don't call it Snow White. But the problem
Look,
is
I haven't read the Grimm fairy tale version, so maybe I'm missing something and this was part of the original story. In fact, let me just try to
fact check this.
fact check myself, because I still need to read that and familiarize myself with it.
Their fairy tales are kind of like a little dark.
But here,
so maybe.
and here's the thing. So it's not just that. It's the fact that it looks like this movie's budget has ballooned to nearly double what they had already spent on it. This is according to WW Pro. It's looking like it could. This is a rumor that the budget could be close to $500 million because of reshoots and delays and all the things that are going on right now. $500 million, $500 million for a movie, which means that your break even is like $1.5 billion if you actually want to make your money back.
Not a chance.
Not gonna happen.
Not close.
Well, I mean, let's be fair.
happen.
Let's be fair. Inside Out 2 just made $1.6 billion. Deadpool and Wolverine just made $1.3 billion. But imagine having to make a movie that had to reach that level of success to come anywhere close to profitability.
Okay, so the only reference I see from the synopsis of the fairy tale to Snow is at the beginning of the story, a queen sits at an open window during a winter snowfall when she pricks her finger with her needle, causing 3 drops of blood to drip onto the freshly fallen snow on the windowsill. And then she says to herself, "How I wish that I had a daughter who had skin as white as snow,
That's the
lips
original, yeah.
as red as blood, and hair as black as ebony." Sometime later, the queen dies, giving birth to a daughter whom she names Snow White.
Yes. And then the evil stepmother comes later, and she doesn't like her.
So Disney thought, we really need to cast a brown chick in this role. So what we'll do is we'll just rewrite why her name is Snow
not
White,
just-
some other story.
And it's not just that. I want you to look at this image, because one of the things that they talk about in this WW Pro video is that some of the money is going to be spent on changing the color palette. Who saw these colors and was like, yeah, I want to watch that?
Everything looks like shit now. Everything looks like shit. I'm so tired of it. Where is the lighting? Where is the color grading?
It's all dark
I like
and
the
weird.
idea, however, that maybe one day the lighting guy just didn't show up, and they're like, let's just do it anyways.
Didn't show up to any other Hollywood project for like a decade.
Yeah, this is your critique on the Thunderbolts the other day.
And Electric State.
And an Electric State
And
looks like that too.
everything else
And
that comes out now.
And I was like, why does everything look like it was filmed just at that time? I told Mary this before, and I mentioned this in the story yesterday. It's that time. It's when I leave from work. It's literally what it's like outside when I leave from work. It's getting dark, but not dark enough that putting my lights on does anything, but you get guilted into it because the other drivers have their lights on. Okay? So you're driving and you're like, I can kind of see the bulbs in my car, but not really. That's what everything is color graded to now. So you have to squint at the TV, or it forces you. What if I don't have blackout curtains? What if I just have a room that has a lot of light in it?
I heard that they're calling it Disney Plus lighting these days.
That's it.
Which is perfect.
It's Disney Plus, Disney Plus. No, there's nothing plus there. It's Disney minus talent. Disney minus lighting.
We've got...
Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.